Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about something that's puzzling me, and I assume others, but I don't hear a whole lot about this. Climate protesters. Now, when I look at the venues, and recently they did Westminster Cathedral in sort of downtown London, and various art galleries, again, downtown art galleries. They're not art galleries out in the middle of in the outer burbs of some little town or something. They're in the heart of the bustling metropolis. And also places like, say, Stonehenge. And the list goes on, that's in Europe as well. Now, when I was in, I've been to Westminster Cathedral a few times, and interesting. If you ever go there, I got like quite sort of strange vibe, as in the history of the place. But I was wearing. It was quite a sunny day in August, so I was wearing a hat, and so I was only a few steps in the front door of or the entrance where we went in. And somebody appeared out of nowhere, like an officer of some sort, and demanded in rather forthright language, by the way, and a tone that's rather terse, that I should move my hat. I should take my hat off as a sign of respect. There are because some of the old stones there, like the original stonework from 1,000 years ago, some of those stones are quite worn and a little bit slippery, that sort of stuff. So there are people around warning you about that. There seemed to be a lot of security on duty, and I maybe I don't know what they're worried about, but there's a lot of security on duty. Certainly that I could see. You couldn't go in any section or area of the place without the security. Now maybe budgets are tight and they've cut back on it. I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought they'd have amped it up from those, because I haven't been there for a few years. And machete wielding and acid throwing is much more prevalent in London now than it was so many years ago. So anyway, was a lot of security and various other people there that but somebody would there was a group of people there that were looking at something and they touched it, and immediately someone jumped up, don't touch that, and body fats will deteriorate the stone, and so again, a lot of people there that were concerned. Maybe some were volunteers, I don't know. But somehow two very lesbian-looking, very former public servant-looking women with another accomplice, so it's three of them, I guess, at least, were able to set up, unmolested, unchallenged, set up shop in Westminster Cathedral, and they were able to change their clothes and get their camera thing and spray graffiti on. They've got their sign, and they were able to do all that without anyone preventing them or stopping them. Now, I don't know how that's possible if I can't even go in there with a hat on a hot sunny day, one of the very few that you see in England. But if I can't even go in there in a hat without people climbing all over me, and again, other instances, how are they able to do this? I don't understand that. Now, maybe they've got lookouts that they know who the security people are, and they watch and wait until the security people have moved off somewhere else or are distracted. Maybe they've got accomplices that distract the security people and get them out of the way. I don't know. But again, it would take quite a bit of organisation and quite a lot of people to do it, which similarly would also suggest an inside job at some level. Nonetheless, now you can't sort of, like, you look at how long it would take these people to do this, and given the amount of security in Westminster Abbey, then it's hard for me to believe they could have had the time to do this. They're not young and fit and agile, so anyway, that's so I was looking at that thing. There has to be an inside job. There has to be people working inside there as security in the Abbey that are somehow part of the gig, somehow allowing them to do it, that are seeing it and are just not doing anything, or making sure other security personnel aren't nearby, giving these people then time to do the graffiti thing. Now, I don't know whether they're going to be arrested or whether they'll be charged. If you look at climate protesters generally, they get either no sentence, they don't get arrested, B, if they do get arrested, they get very light sentences, and most of them, and I can't think of any exceptions actually, most of them have all their legal fees paid by an NGO of one flavour or another. So for them, it's really no big deal. They don't get for the majority, they don't get any penalty recorded. They don't get, there's no cost to them. All their out-of-pocket expenses are paid for, and they can go straight back on the street in 5 minutes and just do it all again. In many cases, not some, but many, activist judges are allocated to hear the case. And as we see in Australia, some judges actually congratulate the climate protesters on being so stunning and brave. So now looking at other one, I've been to, say, Stonehenge, and I'm thinking of Britain at the moment, but I'll come back to Australia in a minute. I think I've been to Stonehenge a number of times, and it surprises me that there's, again, plenty of people there. There's tours going around, there's security, there's all sorts of people around. It would be very hard to be able to spray graffiti and do this sort of thing unmolested, unchallenged, and so on. And yet somehow they're able to do it. I don't believe that's possible without an inside job. There has to be to some extent. Now, the inside job could be they've got a lot of watchers, a lot of spotters saying, okay, security's over there now, quick, do it now. There could be that. So a whole sort of mob could descend, a mob of insurgents in effect to set the whole thing, and that's possible too. Now look at the art galleries. In every art gallery room, certainly that I've been to, the major art galleries, there's been a security officer there. And yet somehow, again, these juveniles with their blue hair and you would think they were people that you'd maybe watch a little bit more closely than others, but the blue hair juvenile is able to then calmly open the can of soup, do the graffiti, glue themselves to whatever, and is able to do this again unchallenged. And that I would argue that these have to be inside jobs. I don't believe it's possible. Certainly in the art galleries I've been to, you wouldn't be able to do it. And again, even if you get a little bit too close to some of an older gentleman like me, I get a bit too close to something, someone will appear and say, please don't get too close to that. And so there's plenty of people around watching. So how are these activists able to do this, again, unchallenged? It doesn't follow at all. It must be an inside job, and it must be being done with the connivance of others in doing this climate publicity stunt. You've been fantastic today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.